Learning about Twilight, Promise Chapel. Twilight is about a girl named Bella Swan who moves to Forks to live with her dad. She is an ordinary girl and she ends up falling in love with this vampire named Edward Cullen. Of course, she doesn't know he's a vampire until a little bit later in the book. Also, she becomes best friends with a boy named Jacob Black, who actually turns out to be a wolf, and he couldn't really see her because of that, but she found out, and she was able to see him again. And then Edward came back, and she was deeply in love with Edward, and she had to choose between the two of them, and of course she chose Edward. They got married in Breaking Dawn, and then after she had Renesmee, she turned into an immortal as well, a vampire. Stephenie Meyer, who is the author of the Twilight Saga series, what inspired her was she kept thinking about this beautiful meadow full of flowers and light, and it just clicked in her brain. She wanted to write about vampires, and she came up with this new idea of vampires in the way that whenever the sun shines on them, they shine like diamonds, like millions of facets of diamonds all over their bodies. And that's the reason why they can't really go out in the sunlight when they're around humans. Otherwise, they'll know that they're different. And she actually named all the characters in her book after family members and people she adored and loved. The city of Forks, it's in Washington, and it got a huge economic boost from the Twilight series. The book was based off small town Forks, and Stephenie Meyer actually did her research, found out the population of Forks, and it's very cloudy and rains a lot, which is perfect for vampires. And Forks became such a popular thing that they made stores, they started providing like bus routes to show like the history of Twilight and the vampires. They have lots. If you go to Forks, you'll see nothing but Twilight all over the city, and the people love it. The people love it. How it's affected teens is that they started pretending that they were vampires because of Twilight. It became so big, and they actually started biting each other on the necks to draw blood and to lick it. It seems like the Twilight vampire is portrayed to be sexy, sensual, and adoring, and so they started to bite each other. Also, they would find students skipping school to go to the premieres, and one principal actually caught wind of it, and he told all the students if they didn't show up that day of the premiere without a doctor's slip, then they would get detention for not coming, because he found out that people were skipping. And also, there have been over thousands of blogs made in honor of Twilight. I myself have a blog, and it's called The Twilight Series, and if you go to promiseh.blogspot.com, you can actually check it out. It's pretty awesome. This month alone, these are the highest ranking Twilight blogs, and Robsess, as you can see, almost is half of the people. But actually, Robsess isn't the most popular site. Team Twilight was number 1, Robsess was number 2, Lune Nueve Meyer is number 3, and TwilightItalia.com is number 4. These are the main actors and the characters they played. Robert Pattinson, he played Edward Cullen, which was the main vampire character that Bella Swan, played by Kristen Stewart, was very in love with and ended up marrying. They had a child together named Renesmee. Taylor Lautner played Jacob Black, who was Kristen Stewart, Bella Swan's best friend throughout the book. She wouldn't admit it to herself, but she loved him. But it wasn't the way that he wanted her to. She would have picked Edward any day over Jacob, and in the book she actually did. Billy Burke played Charlie Swan, which was the father of Bella Swan. Ashley Greene played Alice Cullen, and Alice Cullen was one of Edward Cullen's sister, and she had the power to see the future. Nikki Reed played Rosalie Hale. Rosalie Hale is also a sister of Alice Cullen and Edward Cullen, and she was kind of one of the ruder types. She didn't like Bella because she hated that Bella was making the choice to become a vampire, because she didn't have that choice and she wouldn't have picked it. Jackson Rathbone plays Jasper Hale, and Jasper Hale has the gift of being able to calm people, make them angry. He has control over emotions, and he's also a brother of the Cullens and Hales, and is in love with Alice Cullen, who they actually get married together. Michael Sheen, he plays Misconceptions of Twilight. People call them the sparkly ones, the gay ones, the wimpy ones. Edward's so emo. Well, guys, if you read the books, you'll understand the intellect and the beauty of the characters in the book. They're not the sparkly ones, and I already described to you why they sparkle. That's the idea Stephenie Meyer got. That it's actually like diamonds in their skin, and when they go out into the sunlight, they're very, very beautiful. The vampires in this book are portrayed to be so beautiful. Midnight Sun. This book was written by Stephenie Meyer as well, and she didn't finish it because she gave out like unpublished manuscripts to 4 close friends to read over and tell her what they thought. One of them leaked it out to the press. She was so devastated. She didn't want anybody to look at the books, any of her, readers, until the book was finished. And she was just so upset and heartbroken by it that she said if she were to try to write the book, Edward Cullen would die, Bella would die, just bad things would happen. And she promised that she would never finish the book because she was just too upset. And that's the end of All About Twilight. Here's my reference.